Welcome to your reading tonight, Aquarius. I have picked some flowers for you again. These are some beautiful yellow wildflowers that were growing outside. Trying to get the focus in again. It's really, there we go. I do not know what they are. Maybe somebody will know. Unfortunately, I just need to move them aside so that we will have room for our spread. So I am really excited because you chose the love spread, and it's one of my favorite spreads. So what we're asking for is an accurate reading, and we're going to ask Spirit to intervene if necessary with any spiritual messages. Accurate love spread for Aquarius, please, in Two More Hard. One more. And we're going to do Four Soft. Sorry. In Three More. Two more. And one more. Okay, now we're just going to take it right off the top. So this is you. Wow. Then we have the other person. Wow. Then we have the relationship or the connection. That's going to be interesting. All right, the fourth position is the past. Wow. And here is the, wow, what a spread this is going to be. There's the future. All right, what I'd like to do first is look at the bottom of the deck. All right. Absolutely amazing. We have the world. So the bottom of the deck, put quite simply, is a card that represents a major upgrading. Interestingly, it's also an ending and a new beginning. The world is the last card in the major arcana, and then it jumps to you. It goes from this card to 0, and then it goes back through the 22 cards in the major arcana. You might wonder, well, if there's 22, why is the world number 21? Well, it's because when this jumps to the Fool, the first card in the major arcana, doesn't have a number. It cannot be numbered. It's unlike any other. It's the Fool. So it's an incredibly good card to have at the base of the deck, because it has to do with upgrading, with graduating from one phase to the next successfely. And what I like about it is what's ending, there's a final ending to something. So it is indicative of something that's not going to go flip back, into some former phase. Some phase between you and whoever this love interest is ending. Now, for those of you who are not in a relationship, it's also a really good card to have, because perhaps it's the end of a single life and the beginning of a new phase. Because remember that it's this new phase, it's like a new life. That's how major this graduation is. In fact, one of the analogies to the world is a graduation, is a completion, of a degree, and then moving on to a different realm in society, in a different role. It can represent retirement. It can represent marriage. You get the idea. It's a major change. So for those of you who are single, who are watching this, it can very well be the end of your single life and the beginning of a married life or a life with a partner. So what I'd like to do is go to the first position. So just a moment now, just before we go on, let me name out the signs that I'm seeing here. So we have Cancer, Pisces, Sagittarius, all fire signs, which would be Sag, Leo, and Aries, and all fixed signs. My left ear is ringing all of a sudden. Sorry, that's my right ear. Yeah. So what are the fixed signs? There's you, fixed air, Aquarius. There's Scorpio, which is fixed water. There's Taurus, which is fixed earth. And there's Leo, which is fixed fire. So you could be dealing with any astrological sign, but these are the ones that are on the board. So I really like the Queen of Cups that's showing up for you. And I'll tell you why. That is quite a cup that she's holding. In fact, it's the Holy Grail. All right. Um, what the Queen of Cups represents, first of all, is someone who makes all their decisions with unconditional love. She's sort of like the opposite of the Queen of Swords. You go to the Queen of Swords when you want advice on strategy. The Queen of Cups makes all of her the final call will be made by her, and it will be based on unconditional love. But she is very courageous. Now, what you are doing, I believe, at the present moment, because you'll notice, where is she looking? So, and I want to make it very clear that this is for both male and female Aquarius. So where are you looking right now, Aquarius? You're looking at your cup. And what that means to me is that you are aware of the amount of love that you have to give. And you are, look how beautifully and carefully, delicately, you're holding your cup. She's holding, it's almost like you would hold a baby you on the bottom and then supporting the head, or holding your baby cat or your baby dog, or your armadillo, whatever you have as a pet, or whatever you cherish. If it could be, some item that you cherish, it's being held, because what it means is that you have respect for yourself and you have love for yourself. And that doesn't mean that it's the opposite, in fact, of someone who has an ego. When you have love for yourself, you are capable of extending it to others. And when you have love for yourself, you have empathy and respect for yourself. So you're going to eat good food and take care of yourself, because a relationship is about taking care of the other person as well. And as everybody knows, it is very difficult to take care of somebody else if no one is taking care of you. Well, the easiest way to do that is to take care of yourself, which means to have as much empathy for yourself as you do for another person, okay, or another animal, or another soul, or another being. There's one more thing that I'm seeing in this card for you at present, is that your cup has not been extended to anyone yet. So whether you're currently in a connection or not, what it means is that you have not invested that cup in another yet. So you could be in a connection right now, but that other person better be careful, because that cup, it's like you've reclaimed it. You are in control of where your love is going to go. And it looks like you're looking at it very carefully, and you are aware of what you have to give. All right? There's something else coming through here. I just need to think about this for a moment. There's one more thing coming through here. Yes, I know what it is. There's one more thing that I really like about this. This queen is not afraid to feel. Notice how she is pretty much almost in the water. And what that means is that you're comfortable with emotion. All right. She is very comfortable there, right on the edge of the sea. So you're someone who's capable of going through all of the feelings, because relationships, they're not all perfect. They're up and down. There's a lot of emotional highs and lows that that people have to be able to tolerate without derailing. So this is an incredibly good card coming out for you. By the way, Um, it's also a card of pure subconsciousness and in the ability to be intuitive. And a lot of people think that those little beings on her throne are mermaids. Guess what? They're not. They're angels. So, in other words, she's very loving. All right. Now, we're going to fly all right over here. And I find this very interesting because this is representing the other person. So whether you are heterosexual or not, I believe that you are the feminine in the connection. And the other person is the masculine, no matter what their gender is. Okay. Because this is a virile masculine card. You notice the fist. It's a card of virility and masculinity. What I love about this is that there is action in this card and an offer that's being extended. All right, and either in the present moment or in the past or will be. The future looks absolutely outstanding, but I won't get to that in a moment until a few moments have passed. But the other person. So we're not allowed to know whether or not this is in the present or the future, but I think you'll be very pleased when you see the outcome. The point is, there's something very important that you need to know about this other person. This is an offer that will be or is being extended, okay, by another person, and there is a timing to it. Sorry, I'm trying to get the camera to focus. The timing associated, there we go, with the Ace of Wands is now. Now, that doesn't mean that there is an offer being extended right now. Here's what it means: that there will be a time, sorry if I'm shouting, there will be a time when this offer is extended, and the timing has to be on. So you must be ready. All right? So, in other words, there's a beautiful timing here. If someone, the only time that I find that somebody may not take that offer or that opportunity when it comes toward them is when they're not expecting it. And when they're not expecting it, it's because they think, oh, it's never going to happen to me. So the advice here is to expect it, even if you're not involved with anyone right now and you don't know where it could be coming from. Expect it, be ready. So, and what does that mean? Well, this is a love reading. So ask yourself, do I want to be in a committed, romantic, loving relationship? Do I want to invest some of my very valuable love, Mike? Because this is a heck of a valuable, your love. This cup is very valuable. It's the Holy Grail, okay? So, in other words, one of the reasons why they say that the divine feminine, sometimes her role in a certain lifetime is to leave the situation for good, is because the divine masculine, you may be involved with your divine masculine, but the divine masculine is not pulling up his or her socks. And thus, sometimes the divine feminine and the divine masculine are in a certain lifetime and they do come into contact with each other. And the masculine is not learning their lessons and not pulling up their socks. Well, guess what? If the divine feminine does not, if she's getting to a point where where her energy is being depleted, it's not that, of course, it's not good for her to be hurting herself or being depleted, but it's also that her love is so valuable, it is needed elsewhere. So she can devote it to something else. Or someone else. Very often I call them cream of wheat soulmates that come in at that point. So it's like a plan B, and there's nothing wrong with not coming together with your twin flame. In fact, sometimes that is necessary. And because if you do that in the next lifetime, there will be an upgrading. All right. But I digress because that doesn't look like the situation here. All right. So if you want to be in a romantic loving relationship, the advice from these two cards, from you and this other person, whether they're in your life right now or not, is to expect the best and just ask yourself, do I want to be in a loving romantic relationship? And don't let the logical mind come in, because it's right there, and say, well, there's no one around, so why do I need to ask myself if I want that? I'll decide when it comes around. No, don't do that, because it's going to come around. All right? So, beautiful. Now we're going to go to the next. Oh, no, we're not allowed to go to the next position. We're not allowed to go to this position yet. We have to go to this position. Now, isn't it interesting that we have a 10, all right, which is a card of completion. It's right, 10s are right smack in the middle of the major arcana, and this is a card of finality. We have the 10 of Wands, which is Saturn in Sagittarius. Now, this card is supposed to represent the connection. So it looks like a lot of, whether you're with this person or not, there has been a lot of back-breaking effort that one person has been putting in. So you may be the person who has put one heck of a lot of work into a situation. And that doesn't just mean physical things. Most often in a relationship, it means emotional and mental things, and trying to be open-minded and trying to forgive the other person, and trying to be unconditionally loving and patient, and not allowing yourself to fall into these feelings of jealousy and fear and envy, and cutting the other person slack over and over. Because that's an example of someone who's been putting their all into a situation. Now, this card says you're almost there. Even if you've had numerous connections over and over and over, and it's been very hard. But guess what it has done? Have a look at the calves in that. They are strong. So it's made you stronger. So there is something, if this is about an existing connection, all the difficulties that you've gone through, and even the fact that one person has been clearly doing all the work, all right, and that could also be spiritual work and emotional work, it has increased the strength of the connection. And that house is right there, and that person is almost there. All right? So it may be backbreaking. What I find interesting is you can't see the face. This is clearly a masculine, and you can't see his face. So I don't think you're supposed to know who this is. You might know. By the way, the person that you're involved, that you are involved with or will be involved with, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what they may be like. They could be a little on the, they have to do, everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be done their way. They may like to do things the hard way. It's a very interesting card, and it could very well be a Sagittarius, by the way. This person may be a bit stubborn, okay? But I do believe that, and so you may be be the feminine in this connection, and this person may focus more on practical things, and we have to do this. So this could be somebody who, if you've been waiting for someone to commit, this could be the kind of person that wants to do things their way. No, we can't do this yet because I need to make sure that we have this house, and I need to make sure that I'm financially stable. So this is somebody who's a little bit stubborn and likes to have things done their way, and they may be a little bit neurotic just because of the way the staffs are perfectly lined up there, but it's absolutely beautiful. All right, so let's go to the past. Wow. So we have the moon. I always, when I look at this card, I'll tell you what I think about. The moon in many cards shows two wolves. Wolves, I should say. And here's what I have to say about that. Wolves, as we know, they mate forever and they will die for each other. That's the strength of the love in that connection. There may also be a very strong intuitive connection between you and this person. Since it's in the past position, there's all this mysterious knowledge behind these pillars. You and this other person may have been together in a past lifetime. You may also just have a feeling that you're going to come into contact with this person. There could be literally a telepathic connection between you and this person. You may have had a dream about this person. Concentrate, take note of if you can leave a little notepad by your bed, take note of your dreams, because there's information. When you look at the concentrated look on the face in the moon, that is your intuition trying very hard to impart information to you. So I do think as well, we know from the moon card, it's a card of nighttime. And there are all sorts of incredibly mysterious things that happen when we sleep. One of the major pieces of advice about this card is to make sure you're getting good sleep. Because when you get good sleep, there's all these different processes that go on with both the body and the brain, repairing and creating. We know that the human growth hormone, for example, it's created during deep stages of sleep. All sorts of things that have to do with repair and regeneration happen in this moon card, and only happen when we are sleeping. So make sure you're getting enough sleep. The other very obvious thing is that this person could be a Pisces, because this is a card of Pisces. All right. Now, guys and gals, I did a pre-shuffle for you. All I did was I did a pre-shuffle, all right? And I had the 2 of Cups come out. The 10 of Cups flew out. And I thought, I wish I had been taping that pre-shuffle. And I just put the deck right back together. And the shuffling that I did was on camera. And I want to show you what came out as the outcome. It's the 4 of Wands. 1111. It is the ultimate card of romance, marriage, and true love. As an outcome, you could not get a better card. This is something that is solid and stable, and it actually can be a card of a celebration, a marriage, a celebration. It's incredible. It's also a card of your soul family welcoming you. And so what I'm seeing is that there could be people on the person that you're, coming together with. I just see 2 generations just beautifully blending together. So the card is called Venus in Aries. So that is it's a card of spring. The timing is in April. But wands have to do with days. So there could be something very significant happening in 4 days. 4 days. So be very, very, keep your ears and eyes open. I mean, isn't it incredible? I picked yellow flowers. Just look at how they match your outcome. It's beautiful. Maybe you'll have flowers like that at your wedding if you decide to marry this person. We must get an advice card from the soulmate deck. All right. Should have had this out, but anyway, let's just see what pops out. So here's where we're going to ask for some advice from Spirit. What is the advice for Aquarius in this incredibly awesome love reading? What's the advice for Aquarius here, please? Usually, okay, I was about to say usually one will flip, and one did flip. There it is right there. Here we go. Aquarius, you are a jewel, even though you may not see it. What you consider imperfect is an illusion. Even in darkness, you shine eternally bright. And do you know why I believe that you needed to hear that? Because it could be because of this and this, you and the other person. When I told you to expect the best, and try not to let your mind say, oh, well, why should I be thinking about whether or not I want to invest my heart? I don't, confirmation right there. I don't even I don't even know of anyone who's around me. Or why should this person that I'm in love with, they're never going to ask me to marry them. They're never going to come around. They're seeing all these other people. Expect it because you are a jewel. All right. Let me know what happens, and let me know if any part of this resonated. I'm blown away by this reading. All right. Thanks so much for watching, Aquarius.